What is going on, YouTube? I am Cole, and I had kind of a cool idea because if you can see, I have what is the furthest place from here, 2 issues over here, and because of this book, I had kind of a cool idea. So if you don't know, there was a version of this book that came with a record that had music created specifically for this. So I was pretty stoked, and I can't wait to get it. But I had an idea for a video that I'll get to right after this. Thank you for sticking around. And one of the things I wanted to kind of do as some quick little housekeeping is that on Instagram, I have been pushing to get 750 followers there. I have a giveaway. I'll have a link to the video up here. If you click that video, you can get an entry that way, but it'll also bring you to the post. So you can go and find that on Instagram. I've been using that mainly to sell some books that I have. So I've been trying to build a bigger follower from there. Another thing is that Gary B just recently had a push for 1,000 subs. I made a video for that too. I'll link that up here if you want to check that out. There's going to be a bunch of great channels there that you can subscribe to. So I would love for you guys to check that out if you have the time. But let's get to the concept of this video. So if you didn't know, what's the furthest place from here? This is probably one of my most anticipated comics of this year. I loved Four Kids Walk Into a Bank, and it's the same creative team. Tyler Boss wrote a book called Dead Dogs Bite this year, who's doing the art, and that might be one of my favorite books of the year so far too. But there was a cool way that you could get a vinyl with this book if you bought that package. So it kind of made me think, what are some other things that have came with comic books over the year? So I think when everyone kind of thinks about this, they're going to think of these action figures. I know that there was those Toy Biz Spider-Man books that came with action figures. In the early 90s, Spawn had it. I know that there was, Marvel created this comic, I think it was called like Saga of Crystals or Crystalis. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but that actually had, they created it to make a toy line. So it was a comic book they created in hopes to push a toy line, which is kind of crazy in itself. But I did a little bit of looking up for this because I was trying to figure out what is the first book that came, like comic, that came with a toy, and I couldn't really find an answer to that. I'm gonna guess that the first toy to come with a comic might be those Spawn ones, but I could be wrong. If you have any idea, let me know. I did, however, find that in the 80s, apparently Atari created a comic called Atari Force, and there were these small mini comics that you used to get with the action figures. Marvel Legends in 2000 also kind of started adding those facsimile books to the back, but kind of a cool way to get comics into the hands of maybe kids who might not actually read comics, or kids that are going to play video games and might not actually read comics. So that one might be a little bit backwards from what everything else is. But to keep on the plot of the record, there was this Mind Management. This one was a Kickstarter, so it's a little bit different, but it actually was the comic, and inside of the comic came with a record that you could listen to. I still haven't even listened to this, so I should probably check it out. But yeah, it's a pretty cool idea where I'm pretty sure it just reads you the comic. I know that if you got it, you could get the digital version. The digital one would come and you could actually listen to it, or you didn't have to, but that's pretty cool. Since we're talking about Mind Management, I'm just going to show this bad boy off too. This doesn't come with anything comic related, but they made a giant board game for this. If you haven't heard me talk about it, Mind Management is one of my favorite comics of all time. So yeah, maybe check it out if you haven't. Cool record, cool idea. This one, where the one for what's the furthest place from here is all songs inspired by the comic. This is actually something that's more in the vein of working with the comic. Some other pretty, I guess the first thing that I kind of thought of with things that would come with comics was going to be 3D goggles, because I think Sonata, I think that's the name. There was an image book that had a 3D issue where you could wear the goggles. It came with goggles. All these issues come with goggles, or yeah, whatever. But I ended up trying to find what is the first book, and the first 3D book actually was a Mighty Mouse 3D book that came out in 1953, and they called the 3D glasses the 3D Mighty Mouse Space Goggles. So pretty interesting there. Another thing that, and I mean, most of these other ones that I have are going to be fairly new. So if you know, recently there was a book called Heroes Reborn that came out. It was Marvel's way. Pretty sure from what a lot of people said, this is Marvel's way of making like their take on DC superheroes. That actually came with this pack of cards. I have no idea if these pack of cards were the same for everyone, but I still have mine sealed because I ended up getting the issue 1. I'm sure that there's other books. I mean, one that comes to mind is I think X-Force #1 came with that card. There were 3 different cards you could get. I think one was Deadpool that was going for a ridiculous amount of money at one point of time on the internet this year. But I think that's kind of chilled out. I could be wrong. I don't know. Let me know. But yeah, cards seem to be a very general, easy thing to put into these. I would guess there's probably 2, like a Pokemon comic that came out that included that. I know, this isn't necessarily a card, but recently the Fortnite books came out and those had codes to video games. The next thing that I kind of remembered that I actually got too was when Heroes of X and Powers of X came out, they actually came out with these Seeds of Krakoa, which kind of crazy, like flower seeds. You can plant these in your garden. They're literal seeds. I don't know why I kept them. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. They're probably dead now. I don't know much about how like constructing things from seeds, but I thought this was one of the most like crazy original ideas. It definitely had to go to the story, but these are Bachelor Buttons, also known as cornflower, and is easy to grow and a drought tolerant and attract pollinators. Flowers can be fresh cut, dried, or simply admired. Interesting. They even, I mean, this is, I think, a general idea of what seeds do, but it gives you kind of a time. You probably can't see that, but maybe I'll put something up there or whatever. Another really cool thing that came out recently was, if you read, there was a book by David Pepos that came out last year, I don't know, some time ago, called Scout's Honor. And that one actually had, if your shop ordered 10 issues of it, they would come with these Scout's Honors patches, which was pretty cool. There was a whole set of them. Each issue came with one. I think I only got these 2. Maybe I got more. I know our shop didn't get the first one. I think we got everyone after that. I might have given some away. I'm not really sure. One of the things that I ended up missing, but the book Haha actually came with a promotional balloon. I'll probably link that right here because I know that's something that exists, which is kind of weird, but I mean, it's a book about clowns, so it makes sense in that general thought. And I guess the final kind of one that I remembered was posters. Like some comics come with a poster in the middle. I know like Batman 181, the first appearance of Poison Ivy, that one has a poster in the middle of it. And that's one of the hardest things about finding with that book. A lot of people were looking into finding it. And like now looking to collect it, you want to find one that actually has the poster still attached. But so many kids with like those or the Marvel stamps just cut them out and stuck them somewhere, put them on their wall because they didn't think about the collecting aspect of this or where this would take off. So, I mean, those are kind of some of the things that I just, happen to have and happen to remember. I know that too, another weird thing was with trades. DC actually came out with something recently. I think the first one might have been for V for Vendetta, but if you bought the trades, you also got the mask. If you watch out Whack Comics, I know Lee has a few of them. There's even like Court of Owls Batman comes with the Court of Owls mask. I think that there's even a Joker mask for the Snyder run. I know that there was like a Dark Knight Batman mask. I think there was a Harley Quinn one. I mean, they've made a few of these where if you bought these trades, they come with a mask. They cost probably $5 to $25 more, but you get a cool collector's mask. So that's always a decent thing. So I guess, yeah, these are kind of some of the things I remember. I don't know if you guys have seen anything weird or unusual that comes in a comic book that adds, to a little bit to it. Some of the stuff is more wacky and random, but I mean, like, they're all kind of cool, and it's neat to get this like extra thing. I know that there's sometimes where you might get a pin. Oh yeah, like in death metal, you got a pin for all of the different Batmans. But yeah, I mean, if you guys have any other like ideas or things you've seen, let me know in the comments below. I'm very interested in kind of some of this random stuff and the extraness to collecting. And yeah, I mean, I know there's been a lot of cool stuff. So thanks for checking this out. This has been kind of a weird one. I've probably rambled throughout most of this, as I mentioned in some of my other videos. I've just had a kid, so I'm spending some of my random off time to vent into a microphone and talk about things that I enjoy. So if this is kind of weird, if you enjoy this kind of stuff, let me know. But sorry if it was weird and random. But as always, peace.